Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. Excuse me. As always guys, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel, and of course make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Discord channel guys if you are looking to join a community, share ideas, chat about different opportunities. I'm there as well, so if you are interested, go check it out. Free to join, links in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, hope everyone is well Wednesday morning. What's up, Matt? Hope you are doing well. You're a Swiss long idea. Quite like that moment. Okay, I'm keeping an eye out on a lot of the CHF pairs. More keen on Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF, but I do think we can see some upside for the CHF pairs. I'll definitely go through that. Of course, yeah, New Zealand CHF too looks pretty good. I'll go through that definitely. Wisdom, yes, we'll take a look at gold and dollar yen as well. I'll go through the USD side of things first, and then we'll go through some requests and see what's happening elsewhere in the markets. But we'll go through DXY, USD majors, gold, silver. But as always, guys, any markets you do want me to take a look at, let me know in the chat. And of course, if you do want me to take a look at a specific time frame, let me know as well. But we'll start with the dollar, which hasn't done much since we last spoke, which is, I believe we were trading about here-ish when we last spoke, and yeah, price is only there. So we haven't really had much movement on the dollar. We had a bit of news yesterday for USD. Didn't really affect the market. In terms of the current price, hasn't really seen much momentum. We had a few wicks to the downside in the afternoon, but in terms of any big move, nothing just yet with the dollar. But it's the same old. I'm still looking to see if price can hold support here for a rally to the upside. I'm still very interested in DXY strength. Market has been falling for quite a while. We're very overextended to the downside. We've taken up major lows to the left. You can see the last weekly candle, big wick to the downside, having trouble heading lower. So I do think there are multiple reasons why we could see USD push up. Even if the bigger move is the downside, which is what I'm still expecting it to be. But I do think dollar has room to the upside. So I am looking at price coming back to retest areas like this. Pretty much anywhere within this range here. 103.5, 104. I'll be more than happy to see dollar get there for some more shorts later on. But at the moment, this looks like a nice inverse head and shoulder. I did mention yesterday it would be good to see a strong kind of close on the 4-hour chart to illustrate momentum is coming back into the market again from a buyer's perspective. We had a very meaningful bearish candle on the way down. And we have found support, a few wicks to the downside. Haven't really seen much momentum since then, but it would be nice to get a strong bullish close in the opposite direction, really indicating to us that, okay, support is holding and buys step back in, and perhaps now we could see that follow through. So maybe that could be happening over the next 2-3 candle closes here on the 4-hour chart. But the key takeaway is that support is still holding. So my bias of upside from this area is still intact. If, of course, that changes and price breaks through, I'll stand corrected, and probably at that point we'll see a push back to the low there for the dollar, and we probably end up having a pretty bearish week. Maybe NFP might have something to say with that on Friday, but yeah, we'll be breaking structure at that point, which from a bullish perspective is not what you want to see. But if we can keep this up, I do think we can get a bit of a rally for the dollar. And of course, that would mean some retracement for the other USD pairs. So for example, Euro USD, expecting a move back down again. Same situation here pretty much in terms of the head and shoulder pattern. So instead of inverse, it's head, because of course they're inversely correlated. So they do the opposite. We've got the left head and possible right shoulder. I was speaking yesterday about potentially price coming back for a deeper test of that zone, because we kind of just missed it, to be honest. So it would be nice to see price actually really rally into 1.144, which is kind of where I've got that level, and then see some short ideas coming in, rejection, wicks, entry candles. That would be great. And then perhaps we could see Euro USD retrace. Again, it's the same situation where I do think long term Euro still has some juice to squeeze to the upside, but I do want to see a bit of a pullback. We've had a really big move, taking up major highs to the left. I do think Euro is in need of a bit of a relief. And these are the areas I'm looking for Euro to come to before we can start speaking about some swing opportunities to the upside again. I wouldn't really be looking to buy Euro anymore now anyway. Very corrective behavior. We had a pretty meaningful move to the downside here. Now we're correctively pushing up. So that kind of gives me the impression that this was a impulsive move, and perhaps this is now a correction of that move for some downside anyway. So I'd be very skeptical about buying Euro, even on an intraday point of view, because I do feel like price is correcting itself to follow through. So I'm looking at more downside there for Euro. And this is my idea. Once we've seen that move, hopefully we can pick up some longs later on. But first things first, you still need that retracement. Pound USD likewise, I wouldn't say it looks as clean as Euro, but it's the same situation in terms of price has rallied for quite a while now, very overextended, stretched, hitting some big levels here on the weekly chart, daily chart. So again, I do think pound is likely to retrace. There are a couple levels I'm eyeing up beneath us. One at 1.31, which is this area here, and also this area here at 1.3. So that's kind of where I'll be looking for price to push into, hopefully find some buys in that area, and then take pound USD, hopefully for another swing to the upside. At the moment, testing resistance, so I think sells are the best bet. Again, I'm not so keen about trying to call tops in the market, but it's not a bad place to short, considering where we're trading, the level we're respecting. Not bad for a stop loss above the high. Seeing some nice momentum, but nothing really meaningful. This is a pretty corrective move down. I'd like to see some stronger bearish pressure coming in, so bigger candles, bigger rejection. That would really indicate that, okay, maybe a top is forming. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if pound does rally up one more time before potentially pushing back down again. But my idea is that, okay, I'm expecting a bit of a top here to form, a correction lower, and then some buys later on for pound. And this is really what I'm interested in, which is probably still a few days away. So have to be patient with that, but that's really my idea there with pound. In the meantime, there might be some nice shorts to take for some counter trend opportunities. Dollar CAD, same situation here. Again, more focused with the shorts. I think that's where the bigger move still is with the dollar. With dollar CAD, we've formed these major highs, 1, 2. I'm looking for a third one, where the price comes back to respect this support level, or we push a little bit higher to respect this support level. Either one, I don't really mind. I feel like we've got a good chance of respecting either one of them. It just depends how price gets there, how we react, and that would determine which level I'm looking to get involved with. But again, you can see USD CAD, very corrective behavior, not really seeing much momentum anymore. Key sign that says, okay, market's tiring, perhaps we're getting ready for a pullback. So I'm looking for a bullish move here for dollar CAD. I did suggest yesterday that we might see one more rally to the downside. We are moving quite nicely in this descending channel. Perhaps we do get one more sell before price decides it wants to have that correction. But either which way, I'm not really interested with the buys anyway of dollar CAD. I'm just waiting for price to retrace so I can take some shorts, something like this. And again, that's probably a few days away from forming as well. But in the meantime, if you're interested, I expect buys to be the bigger move. So would be looking at some counter setups, counter trend setups there for dollar CAD. Aussie dollar, this one's still very corrective, ascending here. Pretty much the exact opposite of what dollar CAD is doing. So dollar CAD descending to the downside, Aussie dollar ascending to the upside. And I'm expecting Aussie dollar to have a bit of a relief as well, form a higher low, and then continue. And that again is the move which I'm interested in. I feel like Aussie dollar is bottoming out on the higher time frames. So I do think there's going to be a big relief to the upside. I'm looking at 0.66, 0.665 as potential targets for this one in the long term. So it's just about finding that higher low. The market is incredibly stretched with this rally here. So I do think we can at least have a dip for a couple of days or so. I'm looking at a couple areas for some longs, this being one and this being another. Again, depends how we get there, depends how we react. If I do actually get long from one of those levels, but those are levels I'm interested in at the moment. We had a bit of a spike yesterday on the 4-hour chart. Market came back to highs, tried to pierce through the level, failed, came back down, closed bearish. Had a bit of a nice drop there, but we are still struggling at support here. So that does need to break for us to get that retracement, but I expect it to happen. USD looks like we are gaining that retracement. It looks like support is starting to break. I mentioned that if this support level can break, we probably will see that retracement there for USD. It looks like it is just about broken, but probably not the strongest break you'll ever see. There was a slight break, a slight retest, and we pushed away from it. It would be better if we had a slightly more forceful candle, but that's probably me being a bit picky. But anyway, I'm expecting USD to retrace as well, so I can pick up some longs too. We have a resistance level here, which I'm looking to see can be used as support. Again, same situation as Aussie dollar. Massive rally to the upside, market losing steam. You can see wicks, bearish engulfing candles coming into play. So I do think we can have a bit of a dip to the downside. Hopefully find some support in this area. And again, I'm expecting a lot more upside, 0.61, 615. I do think there is a lot more upside. Again, looking at this as potentially a bit of a bottom there for USD. So I do think we can start to trend for a while in the opposite direction. But yeah, I need price to be trading at those levels before I can find a buy. And then of course you got gold. So gold looking pretty bearish this morning here. Pretty strong close in the 4-hour chart as well. I do think this support level here is going to break, to be honest. So as I've been mentioning, I think buys look good from either this consolidation or the swing high back here. Again, staying a little bit cautious with gold because perhaps we could be seeing that retracement for gold finally. Perhaps we could be going through a bit of a bearish cycle. That could be the case. But I still like these areas for buys because we had a lot of momentum from these areas and we didn't come back to retest them. So I'm interested to see how price reacts with these levels. If I see good rejection, healthy rejection, I do think we can see some nice buying setups from either of those two levels. At the moment, things are looking pretty bearish. We are forming these lower highs as well. So I do think we are likely to break support there. But as soon as we get to 32.40 and 31.50, I'll see what we can get from the buyers there. But yeah, gold looks like we'll probably have another sell-off here. So watch out for that. I know we've got some support below us, but I don't expect it to hold. And then silver, last time I checked, I was looking at a tad bearish as well. Yes, nice close as well this morning. Looks like we've broken out of this ascending channel here. We had a slight rally to the upside, didn't quite make resistance. It looks like that area of supply has basically held for silver, and we're seeing a bit of relief. So I'm still pretty bullish on silver, but now that we're getting that relief, because I've been saying all week that I'm bullish on silver, but that's not the place where I want to be looking to buy it, especially as a swing trader. You know, price is losing momentum. We've already had a big move. We're coming into areas of supply, but we had a massive move to the downside from. Not the best place to be buying the market. So if we can pull back perhaps into an area like this, 31, well, that would be definitely an area of interest for me for a buy. And again, potentially price might rally for a couple of days and then go against me again, but that'll probably give me the opportunity to go to break even or take some profits off the table. And I'll just feel a lot more confident buying silver from an area like this rather than up there. So if silver can sell off for a few more days, come back to 31-ish, 31.225, then I can start looking at some longs again. But it's a strong break of that ascending channel there. So I do think on the lower time frames, there could be some nice shorts in play here. So maybe another correction, retest some structure. That could be a nice short opportunity on maybe hourly or 30 or 15-minute chart. That could be a nice ride on the way down. Then when we start approaching 31.25, then we can see what we can get in terms of the buys to maybe take silver back up again. But for now, really strong break. I do feel like silver can continue to fall here, and then we can see what we do at some of these prices. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with USD side of things. I do think dollar is still likely to see some strength. I suppose that's going to help out silver and gold to the downside. But yeah, I have to be patient. I will take a look at dollar yen wisdom, and we'll go through some of the CHF pairs for Matt. Oh, watching from hot in Cornwall, nice. Yeah, I mean the weather is looking beautiful in the UK at the moment. I think it's gonna be I think it's going up to like 28 degrees tomorrow, which is insane. What's up, Rachel? Good morning. Is that from New York? Wicked. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're well. Road to Success, Pound Yen, we'll take a look at as well. Fortune Studios, what's up from Kenya, Nairobi? Wicked. Happy to have you on the stream. Hope you're well. What's up, Yusuf? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Just got home from working an overnight shift. Wow, that is hustle, Rachel. Kudos to you. Morning, Ivan. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Earlier I was looking at Euro USD 1.13. I was looking at some short, but when it got to the level, I decided to stay out because it wasn't the usual pattern that I trade with. Now I'm having mixed feelings. Yeah, I mean, if you're not confident about getting into a position, then don't do it. For whatever reason. Of course, you want to have the discipline to take trades when they're there, and you don't want to overthink things. But still, if you're having confusion, mixed feelings, maybe the setup doesn't look as quiet as it should be, then there's no point in taking the trade. You only want to take trades when things are looking good and in your favor. You know, that's a fundamental kind of law. And journal that, you know, record that down, see what the outcome is, because there'll be more trades like that in the future. And as you journal, as you record that, you can look back and say, okay, maybe I should trust my instincts in this situation, or maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just stick to the plan and take a trade if it's there. But yeah, trading is all about the law of averages. You know, if you have an edge, it's not going to work every time. And sometimes things will look a little bit weird. And in that case, you shouldn't take the trade, or you should take the trade. My thinking is always, if things don't look quite right, probably best not take the position and record that, because then you can build up data there, and then that will give you the confidence in the future to either miss some trades out or give you the confidence to actually take the trade in the future, because you have, you know, evidence in your favor. Anyway, let me go through some of the CHF pairs: Euro Swiss, New Zealand CHF, and then I'll go through Pound Yen and Dollar Yen. Of course, any requests, guys, drop it down in the chat, and we will discuss. But Euro CHF, I'm expecting a lot of upside for the CHF pairs. Of course, they have been falling for quite a while, in particular Aussie and New Zealand. So I'm actually very eager to buy them back up. It looks like we might be seeing some retracements on them, so I'm going to keep an eye on them. I'll go through them in a moment. But Matt, you said are you long EuroCHF or are you looking to buy it? Long idea 0.93450. Whereabouts is that? 0.93450. Yeah, it's around there. Quite like it at the moment if price plays out with momentum. Okay. Yeah, I like it as well, to be honest. I mean, I prefer New Zealand CHF, but I like the CHF pairs in general. There's a nice level there price can react to. That could be where we put in another higher low. Something like that. And then be on our way for a push back to highs. And then probably a lot further as well. EuroCHF has come back to all-time low support. If you look to the left here, this is a massive level of support, which we've rejected on numerous occasions here. Once, twice, third time, and a fourth. And of course, if I zoom right out to the monthly chart, you can see that we haven't been lower than prices here. This is the all-time low of price. So buying from this level is most of the time a pretty good idea. Of course, I wouldn't necessarily look to hold positions too long because EuroCHF is in a long-term downtrend, and at some point we probably will break through these lows and create new all-time lows. But when that happens, we'll probably come straight back up anyway. So we can speak more about that at another time when it actually does happen. But for now, it's been a solid rejection. I do like the buys for EuroCHF. I'm looking at possibly a move back into this area. Some really nice structure here. Resistance twice, support a couple of times as well. 0.95 I do think is a nice draw to price. But even from a more kind of intraday, intra-week perspective, even a swing just back to resistance here would be a decent trade in itself. So yeah, I do like the idea there for EuroCHF. I do prefer New Zealand and Aussie because they're coming from all-time lows. So I know we've got that kind of extra incentive for price to push higher because there's just generally not many sellers left at all-time lows. You know, any kind of big seller here for Aussie CHF or New Zealand CHF probably have closed their positions or closing their positions. So that will naturally give price a bit of a spring to the upside. So New Zealand CHF, another pair, which I like the buys from. I did mark out this area as a nice place for a buy. Haven't really seen the necessary price action candlestick formation for any entries just yet. We're kind of a bit flat right now. But things can change pretty quickly, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. But if you can fire some weights to the downside, maybe see a strong shift in momentum, something like that on the 4-hour chart, that could invite me to a trade. Stops below the low, and I'll be looking to target at least this area, but I do think we can get even all the way back there. So I do like this one. I think we can really run to the upside. Likewise with Aussie CHF as well. In fact, the Aussie's got a little bit more meat on the bone here because I'm expecting us to at least get back there and potentially here as well. And you can see we are quite far away from that. So this could be a really nice buy for Aussie Swiss, something like that, all the way back into those type of prices. So I like Aussie CHF. I like New Zealand CHF quite a lot. CAD CHF is kind of in the same boat as well. That one recently made all-time lows too. But the price action doesn't look as good, so I think I'll just focus on Aussie and New Zealand. But this one broke the lows there as well, so expecting a big recovery. Anywho, we'll go take a look at dollar yen. What's up, Alex? Good morning. Hope you're well. Yes, we will take a look at oil. No problem. I'll go through dollar yen and pound yen first. So with USD JPY, I am pretty bullish short term, bearish long term on this one. Again, we've come into a pretty big level of support. So if you look to the left here on the weekly chart, massive support there once, twice, and potentially a third time. I mean, so far it is acting as support, but we're yet to see that kind of bigger rally, which I do think can happen. I think eventually we'll break through the support level, but first we're likely to see some upside here. So I'm looking to see if we can push back into this area or potentially even this area here with dollar yen. So that's 149, that's 147. At the moment, it looks like that inverse head and shoulder pattern seems to be holding pretty well. So we were speaking about some longs here yesterday. I said potentially if price was to sell off again back into support, then respect it again, that could be a nice entry signal. Didn't really pick up momentum until this morning here, well, until the last 4-hour candle close. But it looks like this support level is doing a pretty good job at holding price. And it's the same situation with the dollar. If the dollar can respect that low, that inverse head and shoulder, which so far it's doing as well. If the dollar can respect this area, then I do think dollar yen will rally as well. Kind of in the same situation, of course, both USD, both affected by USD as well. So if the DXY can hold support there and rally, I do think dollar yen will join the party as well. I mean, it's already looking semi-bullish right now. But yeah, if that is going to be a higher low, I expect price to push back into highs here on 143.8. And if we can crack through that, well, then we probably will see that push to 147, maybe 149 as well. So dollar yen buys at the moment look pretty good, respecting that support level pretty well. Of course, we're coming off major lows too, so that's the main real incentive of why I expect price to push higher. But yeah, I'm looking for it to be a pullback, to be honest. So if we can grind high, that'd be great. And I'll be looking for a push back down. That might take a week or two, to be honest, but we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with dollar yen. In terms of pound yen, I'm really liking pound yen's price action, to be fair. It's nice and corrected, not really seeing too much momentum. We're not quite at 192.5 just yet, but we're only a stone's throw away. So I'm looking to see if we can push up a little bit further, come back into this 192.5 area. And then from there is where I'm starting to look to sell the market. But we've had a nice kind of breakout here. Didn't really show much momentum, which is a good sign as well. It means that overall this bullish leg here is still pretty corrective in comparison to the bearish move we had a couple of weeks back. So I'm looking for a little bit more upside, something like this, maybe a bit of an ascending channel to form. That would be nice as well. And yeah, I'll be looking for a sell. And hopefully I'll rally back into the low here at 184.5. And more significantly, a sell back into the wick low at 180. Yeah, I'll probably close most of my positions by then, but if I could leave a good 20% to run back to the low there, that could be a nice position that does potentially add up a little bit as well. So I'm keen on that as well. But yeah, pound yen is still very bearish. Again, as long as price respects this swing point here, this is the swing that gave us the swing low. As long as price can respect this area so we don't break through it, I stay bearish with pound yen. Any opportunity in this area is only an area for me to be selling. Of course, from an intraday perspective, there might be some nice buys which you can take advantage of for maybe a day, maybe a session, maybe even more than that. I'm not denying that at all, but from a swing perspective and for someone who's looking to enter their trades in the 4-hour chart, this is an area which only makes sense really to sell. So yeah, as price comes into this area, I'm looking to short, looking for opportunities. And as long as we stay below this point, the opportunity is valid. The moment we take that out, then I have to rethink things and go back to the drawing board. But for now, pound yen looks pretty good. Just need a bit more upside before I can start shorting it. Okay, so I'll go through oil for Alex. Yusuf, now I'm just looking for shorts on pound USD at 1.3385. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Is that on the 15-minute chart as well, Yusuf? Ivan, New Zealand yen sell from 4-hour area of interest. They use. Okay, I'll have a look at that one too, no problem. Samuel, what happened with cold? Oh, do you mean gold? I mean, I expect a bit more downside. Ideally, you probably already want to be in a sell. I wouldn't be looking to sell gold now. No kind of appropriate place for a stop loss. Okay, so I'll go through oil, then I'll take a look at pounds and New Zealand yen. So oil, last time I checked, this one was looking pretty bearish, and it is looking pretty bearish there. So yeah, I was looking for oil to have a slightly bigger pullback, but nope. Oil just continued to fall here. Had a nice kind of channel that price was forming. We of course had a lovely level just above us here, trading around 66, 65, which I was hoping for price to get to, respect, and then potentially sell off. Of course, we had that lovely flush to the downside a few weeks back, and the plan was just looking for a continuation of that. Massive sell, looking for a pullback, then another drop back into the lows, and so on and so forth. But looks like oil's just been way too bearish, and even a pullback into that level was a bit too much for it. But now that we've committed to the downside, I like this area as a place for a short, which was price support once, twice, briefly a third time there as well. I think that's a nice place for a short. And we can potentially ride that back to lows from there. Got the first test, second, third test roughly there as well. And you got massive support down here, 57, 56 as a nice place for a target as well. So yeah, oil, again, the plan was a push to 66. Again, there's a chance we might still make that move as well. But momentum has picked up. We are overall very bearish on the higher time frames as well. So I wouldn't pass up on the opportunity to get some shorts from the retest of this area. If this does kind of form a massive consolidation, then I would wait for 66. So if this level doesn't really hold and we kind of fluctuate some more, then I'll wait for 66 again. But if you can get a nice kind of corrective pullback, see a sufficient rejection at that level, I think that's a great place to short. At least target the price swing low. So let's say if we pull back from there, well, then that will make for a good target. And then if you're looking to push the trade a bit further, you've of course got the lows down there as well. But yeah, oil's looking pretty bearish to me, so expecting lower prices still. But of course, a pullback would be great. Okay, so we'll take a look at pound USD on the 15 for Yusuf. You said you're looking for shorts for this one. Okay, so I think I catch a drift here. Market's been pretty consistent with lower highs. Overall, it's a pretty corrected move on the way down. It would be nice if we had a bit more momentum to it, but we are still maintaining this bearish structure. So another lower high could be a nice opportunity to get into a short, but I would be a little bit stingy with targets. For example, if you were to pull back from here, form a lower high somewhere, I will be looking to lock in gains as soon as we get back into the low, just because this could be a correction for us to have another rally. It's not like we've seen any real signs of major reversal, any strong bearish pressure come in. We've hit a big level on the higher time frame, which has caused this bearish move, but hasn't really done anything spectacular. This easily could just be a correction for us to continue higher. So if you're looking to try and catch another lower high, I agree, that's a nice opportunity on the 15, especially if you're going to enter on the 5 as well, because that will give you your risk to reward. But as soon as we hit a low or close to a low, I'll look to try and take some profit off the table there, because I don't necessarily trust that move for the reversal just yet. Maybe it does turn into reversal, but it's lacking that momentum to give me the confidence to try and push that trade for it. But yeah, nonetheless, I like the lower highs, another pullback into an area. I do think there's a good chance we see another lower high form. But again, being a little bit cautious as we come into lows, because we might still have a bit more upside in the tank there for pound. Over to New Zealand yen. So Ivan, you said sell from 4-hour area of interest that has been used as support resistance many times to to the left around 84,800. Target would be next support 84,150. Okay, let's have a look. So 84,800. Okay, so just from eyeballing it, I think you're describing this area. So we've got support there on the left, resistance, resistance, and you're looking for that to become resistance again. And your target 84,150, which would be about there. So I'm guessing looking to target support here. Not bad position there. You're not looking for anything too crazy. You're just basically looking to trade the range between two levels. I like it. Momentum's on your side as well. We've had an aggressive push, a pullback, another aggressive push as well. So we could be seeing another pullback for another push to the downside in that area. I think that makes a load of sense. What time frame are you looking to enter this one on? Because I think the 4-hour chart might not give you the best entry in terms of risk to reward. So I'll probably be looking at maybe even 30 or 50 minute just to really try and refine that risk to maximize risk to reward. Of course, the lower you go, the kind of more exposed you are to fluctuation, potentially getting stopped out as well, but then the higher risk to reward as well. There's of course a balance to it, but yeah, I like the idea. Price is coming back into an area of confluence where we respect the numerous occasions. If we can do that again, well, there's a good chance we push down, and there's definitely a key level of support below us, which price seems to be doing a pretty good job at bouncing from as well. So I would suggest a move back to that area is a likely one. I'm a bit skeptical about the bigger move for New Zealand yen, whether we'll get another swing. I feel like the market has already rallied to the downside quite well. We've come into major support on the weekly chart on the left here. So I'm a bit skeptical about the bigger swing for New Zealand yen, but if you're only looking for a small piece of the pie, I think that makes a load of sense there. Okay, so I'll go through Swiss yen as well. And okay, definitely looking for the entry for oil. Yeah, I like oil as well. There's a lot of momentum there to it too. So if the market is going to keep falling, I would expect that level, which we marked out, to hold and us to keep up with those lower highs. If that level doesn't hold and we break it to the upside, well, I'll be a bit more cautious. Lebsy, what is up? Yes, we'll take a look at New Zealand CAD. That pair is on my watch list. I'm very interested in buying that market at the moment. We've had a bit of a dip, so hopefully that can continue falling a little bit further, and then hopefully I can find some entries pretty soon. But I will go through that pair, no problem. Seeing some bullishness in Swiss yen. We'll take a look at that one as well. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Entry maybe 30 minute. Looks like a double top. Okay, yeah, makes sense. I think 30 minute would be a decent time frame, just to make sure that your risk reward is in a good place. But yeah, possibly could be a double top there as well. I always like using double tops for entries. They are very powerful patterns, especially if you use them in the best places for them to work out. They can kind of make things a bit easier because you're not jumping in, not being the first person into the trade. A double top means that price has to respect an area twice, so you give yourself that extra confirmation, and potentially gives you that that opportunity to potentially miss out on getting faked out, essentially, because sometimes the first push, price will create a level of resistance or support. The second push, it might manipulate that same level, and then that will give you a good entry afterwards. Especially if it's like a big wick or something like that. It allows you to dodge that bullet. But anyway, we'll go through CHF JPY next, and then I'll go through New Zealand CAD as well. So CHF JPY, I did say I was looking to buy this one actually last week, but I didn't really like the entry. We came back into a nice area of demand here. We had a lovely consolidation, massive rally to the upside, and price got there again. So I was looking to see if I can find an entry for this one. I wasn't really too happy with the entry. Then again, I was looking for a double bottom here. That unfortunately hasn't quite happened as I wanted it to. If we came a little bit deeper, respected that area, that would have been a nice place for an entry for me. But not quite doing it as I wanted to. I mean, it's picking up momentum right now. You could probably look for some entries on this kind of shift of momentum and have some stops there. Not the best risk reward back into the high. You're looking at a 1 to 0.87. Of course, that current bullish candle still has another 3 hours before it closes, so I would not look to enter that now because that could pull back and close bearish, or it could even push even further. A lot could happen in 3 hours, but let's say if it did close like that, it's not a bad entry. You know, essentially this demand zone has held. Not a textbook double bottom, but it looks like a high low is forming there too. And altogether, this is just a very corrective move down. So I would expect it just to be a retracement anyway for us to see price continue higher. So if we are going to get the breakout, I would expect us to push back into resistance. But yeah, risk reward isn't great. If I could have got my entry at the double bottom there, suddenly becomes a much better proposition there, that trade. But yeah, CHF Boy does look bullish. It is coming back to the top end of this channel, so we're coming to a make or break area. If it does break, well, we could be looking at a nice rally there, possibly to 176. But yeah, I will keep an eye on that. In terms of New Zealand CAD, so I am pretty bullish on NZD CAD. I do think this one has a lot of room to the upside. Longer term, I'm looking at this one more so on like the daily, weekly chart. But what I'm seeing is a massive V-shaped pattern, which is a really nice textbook reversal pattern. So you've got a massive sell-off there, followed by a really impulsive recovery. So momentum you kind of sold off with is pretty much equivalent to the momentum you recovered with. That's a sign that price had a lot of trouble continuing to the downside and likely is going to push higher and take out this high here. So very powerful pattern, happens quite frequently as well, and definitely something I do keep an eye on, because if I can spot a good V-shaped pattern, I'm always looking to see if I can try and trade it. And that's the situation where we've got here with New Zealand CAD. So I'm looking at areas where I can buy from. Very kind of short-term support level there, didn't held too long, but that would suffice as a nice area for a buy, because typically, again, in these V-shaped patterns, you don't normally see big pullbacks. You don't normally see price pullback like this to continue. Of course, sometimes it will happen, but most of the time, because there's a lot of momentum in that bullish move, you probably just see a pullback very shallow before continuing. So I wouldn't mind looking to enter in a place like this, 0.81, 81500 pretty much. I wouldn't mind to enter there. We've broken out of this ascending channel here pretty well, so that's why I'm interested in this one. And if we can come a little bit lower, start to stall, perhaps a nice double bottom, again, that could give me a really nice opportunity to jump into a position, stops below the low, and yeah, target the high. And I do think we can go further as well, because I'm looking at the monthly chart, and the monthly candle does close today, so we'll probably have a quick scan of a few monthly candles today just to see how things are looking going into May. But you can see the monthly candle here not really closing with a strong body. Again, still got 11 hours left, so that can change a little bit, but most likely we're not going to see a strong body here in the next 11 hours for the monthly candle. But the key thing is that we've tried to break support, but it's held. Massive wick piercing through the zone. We've pulled back and probably just about closed bullish. So that's a big indication to me that support is holding. And there's a good chance that for the next month or 2 or 3, we might be seeing a bit of a rally to the upside. Support is holding. I expect price to move away from support. Simple as that. So I do think we can see some upside. I think best case scenario, maybe a push back to the high here. I think that's a bit optimistic, but definitely doable. There's resistance here on our left. You can see a lot of wicks here on the monthly chart. That's around 0.839. I do think that's a bit more realistic. So yeah, if I can find some buys for New Zealand CADs, I would expect us to get back into resistance here and then potentially up there as well. And yeah, pull back into the zone. It looks really, really good. So just waiting for a bit more downside for New Zealand CAD. and some entries. But there's a lot of NZD and Aussie pairs which I'm looking to buy at this moment in time. It's pretty much the same idea, especially when you do trade a lot of FX pairs like myself. You kind of see the synchronicity between a lot of markets, like a lot of Aussie markets, a lot of NZD markets tend to move at the same time, do the same thing. It's based on Aussie and New Zealand strength. So if New Zealand's going to be strong, that means pound NZD is most likely going to push down. New Zealand CAD is going to push up. New Zealand dollar is going to push up. New Zealand yen is going to push up. Of course, there is it's not always that simple because it depends which pair it's partnered with. That will have its say, of course, but as a whole, 75 to 80% of the time, they do tend to move together. So yeah, you're just picking the best opportunity in trading that, really. You don't need to go and trade every NZD pair because they mostly do the same thing. But NZD CAD is definitely on the watch list for me right now. No problem, Ivan. Happy to help. Lido, CAD Seat Chef, no problem. We'll take a look as well. So I did mention this one earlier. I'm not the biggest fan of CAD Seat Chef. I like it because it's come to all-time lows. So if I go to the weekly chart, really zoom out, we've just created new all-time lows with this one. So I like that because it means that there are not really many sellers left anymore. Every time we do pull back, more sellers get into the market, drive price lower. And when they do see new all-time lows, they start to close positions, bank profit. That naturally will give price a bit of a relief to the upside. So I do think CAD CHF has a good chance to see a bit of a push up. Don't get me wrong, the trend is still down, but again, context is a big thing. We're at all-time lows here. There's probably not going to be as many sellers as we had when we're up here than when we're down here. So naturally, you do expect the price to rally. So for CAD CHF, I like the buys. The price action just hasn't been that great, which is why I prefer Aussie and New Zealand. I do like this up move here. We kind of broke through some structure to our left. It's been pretty corrective since then. We had a bit of a weird sell-off there, but it looks like price is trying to reverse that. I feel like if we can get a strong push to the upside again, that'd be something I would look for, because then we'd have some structure we could retest, and that could be a nice place for an entry. And then that could be a nice place for a buy. Again, pretty hypothetical. A lot needs to happen for that to happen. But I think that could be a nice trade. Then yeah, I mean, first initial target for CAD CHF has to be the low here. I would expect us to probably even come back into this level here, 0.61873. So I do think there's a lot of upside, and that's why I like it, because the risk reward makes sense. Don't even have to drop right down to a lower time frame to really make this worthwhile. Even an entry on the 4-hour chart could provide a nice 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4 and beyond as well. So I like the opportunity because of that. But Aussie and New Zealand just look a little bit cleaner. But yeah, if something like that happens, maybe I do focus a bit more on CAD CHF. If we can get a nice sharp rally, that would definitely give me a bit more hope with this one. But yeah, CAD CHF, I do think we've got room to the upside, so I'm definitely very keen on a buy here. But that's kind of my take on a lot of CHF pairs. Apart from like pound CHF, I mean, that one I do expect retracement as well, but it's just that we haven't come into any all-time lows, so I'm not as enthusiastic. I mean, if we are going to continue to sell anyway, I would expect us to at least come back to retest this area. Have we? I might have just missed it by like a pip or so. But yeah, I mean, pound CHF probably run out a bit of steam now, so I'm not as enthusiastic about buying pound CHF anymore because of where we're trading. We're already coming back into a pretty big level here. That could invite some sellers to drop, enter the market again and take price low, which I'm not really interested for pound CHF. To be honest, the price action is just horrendous, really, so I am not interested. No problem, Lebsy. Happy to help. Can I scalp with the lower time frame, like 5 minute? Are you talking about for CAD CHF? Scalp CAD CHF in the 5 minute? You can do, but I probably wouldn't say it's the most optimal pair for that. Doesn't really move too well. I I think spreads will be the best on CAD CHF. You're probably best go trade Euro or like a USD major currency pair, or even a yen pair, to be honest. But yeah, I wouldn't say CAD CHF is the best pair to scalp. Conditions won't be that great, doesn't move that well. Quite a choppy pair too, so you can get caught in some nasty price action. So I would say that there are better markets to trade on the 5 minute than CAD Swiss. I don't want to say you won't be able to, it's just I feel like you're making it a bit harder unnecessarily. Good morning, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. In the building, quick recap. Euro, no problem, my man. Yeah, so Euro USD, I am looking for a sell-off here, purely out of retracement. Again, reason behind that, market's very stretched. We've taken up major highs to the left, and last week as well, we had a big piercing weight to the upside. So I do think, conditions are setting for a bit of a pullback. The way I'm looking at price right now is that we are forming some type of head and shoulder here. You got the left, you got the head, and then possibly the right shoulder here forming. Lovely push to the downside not long ago. And to me, this move here looks like a correction. I've marked it with this ascending channel. So I'm kind of looking at this as a pullback, as a correction of that bearish move. And I would expect us to see some follow through. And then if you're looking for some longer term buys, perhaps when we get back to 1.115 and 1.095, then we can start to speak about some longs from then, taking price back to highs. But for now, I would be pretty bearish with Euro. In terms of actually getting an entry for this one, that's where it becomes a little bit tricky, because ideally you want price to push back up to the highs again before looking for an entry. This is kind of where you want to position yourself short, not here coming into support. I mean, you could probably try and catch a breakout there. That's an idea, not really something I entertain, but yeah, you might not see the pullback anyway, so the breakouts were the best bet to actually take a trade. Potentially, of course, we don't know if we see the pullback or not, but that is an idea to look into. But yeah, if we do see a strong break of this, I do think some retests could look good as well, so I wouldn't write that off. It's not going to just be a straight drop to the downside. There most likely will be some type of pullback on the way down. That could be a nice trade there, a bit more intraday to look at in the next coming days. But yeah, I'm expecting Euro to drop. We're looking very fatigued to the upside now, so personally, I don't see any room for us to keep pushing. I mean, of course, we could still see a push, but even if we do, I feel like we'll just roll straight back over. So yeah, pretty bearish on Euro, short, medium term, and then hopefully some buys as we approach 1.115. I feel like from there we can see a lot more upside. DJ, please review my strategy. Use high time representative trend, use 50-minute time frames, identify chart patterns in case head and shoulder first, then see left shoulder followed by head to right shoulder will act as your neckline, meaning following the right shoulder must candle wicks that close within the neckline, not the bodies. If it happens, then the bodies close within or even. Reaching the head, do not enter the trade, but only if it's wicks closing within the neckline, you confirm it's head. Right shoulder, because the candles of the right shoulder have failed to break the neckline. Risk management before you place the entry. First, wait for a strong bearish candle indicating seller power and reversal. Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got a good understanding of how a head and shoulder forms and what to look out for and what to avoid. Again, head and shoulder pattern is something I look at as well in my personal trading. I trade, my focus is basically around chart patterns pretty much. So head and shoulder patterns is something I look out for as well. The way I look to trade head and shoulder patterns myself is I'm always looking, well, not always, probably about 70% of the time, I'm looking to try and see if I can get in on the right shoulder, which is a little bit more aggressive because technically it's not a head and shoulder pattern until you break the neckline actually. But of course, if you can position yourself on the right shoulder, like here, it gives you the best kind of risk to reward. And if you catch the break of the neckline as well, you're positioned up, right at the top there. Your entry is kind of really safe, so you can capitalize on some big moves and give price a lot of room to kind of wick around and mess around and not really intervene with your entry or your stop loss. So I do like entering on the right shoulders, but if things are not looking too clear, or I want to be a bit more patient because for whatever reason, maybe things don't look great, then of course I would wait for the neckline to break and look for some retests afterwards. But yeah, from reading your description there, I think it sounds good as well. If you're using high time frame to identify a trend and then you're using 15 to enter, I probably wouldn't go higher than the daily chart just because 15 minutes is very, very precise. And even compared to a daily chart, how many 15-minute candles are there in a daily candle? There's a lot. So yes, use high time frames to identify trend, but don't you don't want to be too precise because then you can kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit. Mate, this is like a whole essay you've written up here. Could have condensed this a little bit better, DJ. Stop loss must be below the wicks and then shoulder. Before you place entry, waiting for a bullish candle, possible reversal. Stop loss must be to me it sounds like you got a good understanding of head and shoulder pattern. I don't see any issues there. Stop loss in the correct place, valid entry signal, and good understanding of the wicks as well, when the wicks are kind of deceiving and not. So yeah, I like the idea. Fits the idea of how I would want to trade a head and shoulder as well. But yeah, I would always just be a bit careful with the 50-minute chart to your higher time frame because there's a big kind of distance between the two. I like having time frames like quite next to each other. But anyway, I'm going to go through some of the yen pairs. I'm still holding some shorts on euro yen on the daily chart. I'm looking to see if we can get that massive rollover for this one back into the lows here, which is 154.5. But I'm prepared to kind of sit in this trade for a while, which is not particularly great because I'm paying swaps. Shorting euro yen, pound yen isn't great because of the negative swaps, especially if you get caught in a bit of a choppiness, bit of price action. But I think the risk is worth the reward and I'm happy for it. And these are my targets, but I'm actually looking to see if I can hold further than that as well. I probably will look to lock in a good sum at that level because it is a pretty big level of support there. I do not want to pass the opportunity, but on the higher time frames, more so the monthly chart actually, I do think there is a possibility we do push back into this area here, 149.628. So in my book, I want to hold into this position as long as I can because my whole theory basically is that this uptrend has hit a top and I'm looking for a bit of a correction of that. Again, maybe we continue a lot higher in the future, but I do think there's a bit more downside for us to see. And a retest of that high looks pretty likely as well in the higher time frames. But of course, first things first, we've got to form a lower high and keep things moving. We're still forming these lower highs here on the left, 1, 2. I'm looking for a third one here. We come back into the high, kind of like a double or triple top, if you will. As long as we can respect that, I do think price is likely to fall. What I don't want to see happen is price take out this high. If price takes out this high, we're back to the drawing board. Not necessarily in terms of my bias, but just means the way I was looking to short it didn't really pan out at all. Because the idea is that I'm looking for another lower high here, so they shouldn't take out that high. But anyway, I'm looking for the sell there for Euro CHF. First major target, 155. Hopefully second, 150. A lot of pips to catch here, 1,250. But I do have a pretty big stop loss around 222. So I'm gonna give myself the necessary room, hopefully, to see this out. In a bit of drawdown at the moment, but it's the daily chart, so I'm not expecting precision here. As long as I'm just positioned myself in a relatively healthy area for a short, and I've got my stop loss in a safe area, then I'm happy for the trade here, and the risk reward makes sense as well. So I'm not going to be bothered at that. But at the moment, that's the only position I'm in. No problem, DJ. Happy to help. Yeah, South Africa. Yeah, I got that from SA. Quite a lot of people do tune in from South Africa, so yeah, got a nice community over there. And I know Forex trading is very, very popular out there in South Africa, from what I've heard. But yeah, that's the only position I'm in. I was eyeing up pound CAD, but it didn't really set up well for me. I'm still looking to see if I can short this. I like how we're moving. It's kind of like this ascending, ascending channel here. We're seeing a bit of momentum at the moment, so I'm liking how we're moving. Possibly, if we can form support and push up again, that could be a nice little entry there for me. Or even if price actually goes and breaks out the channel, I wouldn't mind looking for some entries after that as well for the shorts on the way down. Excuse me. Yeah, pound CAD tiring again, not breaking through the high here, which is a key element for me. I don't want to see price break the high over there, because this is the high that gave us the low. Then we form this high to give us this low. So I don't want to see price go and break the high there, because that would be equivalent to a break of structure, and I am not interested in that. Yeah, if we can return back to resistance, that would give me a nice entry. If not, then I'll wait for the break of the channel and hopefully some opportunities underneath that. But again, it's the same idea for pound CAD, which is why I'm looking to sell it, is that the market's gone so fast, taking up major highs to the left. I do think we are due a massive pullback here. So I am liking this to the downside. We're looking a little bit fatigued here. I do think we can roll over, but staying patient. Market is still pretty bullish, so got to be careful for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at some of these monthly candle closures, because we're about to get the close for the month, and I want to see how we're shaping up, because that could paint a lovely picture of what May could give us. And having a good understanding of what potentially the next close for any specific period, so for the day, for the week, for the month, even for the quarter potentially, allows you to kind of help strengthen a bias, or maybe be a bit more cautious towards a bias. So pound CAD here, leaving a bit of a wick to the downside. Not the end of the world, because again, with this one, we could see May go and fill the gap. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, to be honest, because we could still see fill the gap, or even just a push down. Doesn't even have to even fill, not the gap, sorry, fill the wick. Doesn't even have to fill the wick, you can just push down even halfway. Nothing really to take away from pound CAD on the monthly candles here. Strong bullish close last month. This close, big wick, but pull back. Yeah, it's respecting some support here, but no real indication of a reversal just yet with this one. Let me take a look at some of the USD pairs. So Euro, let me just get rid of my drawings. Euro probably going to close pretty bullish here. Again, I would expect more upside. It looks like basically support here on the left has held pretty much 1.035. We came back into that a few months ago. I respect that pretty well. I'm going to keep an eye on these lower highs here with Euro, because we've been pretty consistent with them. Going back all the way to 2008, you can see how consistent we've been with these lower highs. So that would be my worry with Euro. We're looking nice and bullish. But as we come into this area, we're back in that lower high territory where we could perhaps roll back over again. But at the moment, it looks like we've broken highs pretty well here. So I do think maybe we might pull back a little bit, but I still do see us pushing higher. Pound USD, same situation there. Strong close. We are coming back into resistance as well. So again, perhaps maybe we might push down, react into that level. But again, I do think price will soon go and break through that. But maybe we might open up bearish and push down, because we are closing directly into some resistance there. Dollar CAD. This one looks like it's closing into support here on the left. So again, maybe we might see a bit of a push to the upside there. I still think, again, we're likely to sell off because we've had a really strong rally followed by a very strong push down. So in my opinion, momentum looks like it's shifting. So I do think we'll continue to fall, but perhaps we do see that push to the upside first before falling. But yeah, judging on that monthly candle, I wouldn't expect it to be a big push either. I feel like maybe a quarter of the way of the candle, maybe halfway, before we do keep falling. Aussie dollar. Okay, Aussie dollar, that's a really nice close. Looks like support here is basically holding. Strong bullish close there. Lovely wick to the downside, piercing those lows. So again, I do think there's a good chance we do continue to push the upside next month. Again, I'm not favoring a reversal here, but I do think we can push up at least for a month or two, and the USD as well. It's a nice rejection, but we are closing to resistance, so potentially again May can probably give us a push and then hopefully some rally. But again, I wouldn't suggest that this is a reversal. It's a nice rejection of support. I wouldn't say that is quite reversal just yet. And dollar CHF, I'm pretty sure we closed very strongly to the downside. Yeah, breaking support. So again, this one's likely to retrace as well. Perhaps we can still see lower prices, but I do think we'll pull back first pretty well. So yeah, going forward with the USD pairs, actually forgot one important market, DXY. So yeah, it looks like DXY is going to clear support there, which is pretty significant to be honest. That support has held us quite a while. So if we can clear this, see a strong close, that to me does invite a lot more weakness for the dollar. So yeah, and that's kind of where my high time frame bearish bias comes from for the dollar. Why I think price can still keep falling, potentially back to 92, 90, 88 even. But again, first things first, I do think we are due a pullback. And from there, we can start to look to short it again. So I'm keeping eyes peeled on these levels, 101.5, 103.5, and then from there, hopefully we can continue to short it again. And likewise with the other USD pairs as well. So in terms of my watch list, so pound yen, still looking to short this guy. Looking really, really good there. Hopefully we can form a nice kind of ascending channel here back into that area of supply. That's where we consolidated and had that massive sell. So I'm looking to see if we can kind of correctively move back up there. So far we're doing a great job at that. Let's just keep it up, push back into that resistance, and then again looking for a big short back into support. I'm also looking at pound CAD. This one is ascending pretty well. Looking to see if we can push back into resistance, maybe double top it, and then I get the sell. But this one's looking really good. I like the momentum we're seeing with these bearish moves. It's looking pretty good to me. So looking for one more push, then a sell, or we break out the channel and then I look for an opportunity along the way somewhere. Yeah, I think that looks like a really nice place for a short. Definitely if you can get stops above the high. New Zealand CAD, I like the longs for this one. Price looks like it's about to approach support. We've had a really big V-shape reverse opportunity here. So now this is the correction of that pattern. And now I'll be expecting the continuation of the pattern, which should take us back to highs. I do think we can go a little bit further than that as well. So New Zealand CAD looks really good, not too far away. Pound NZD, I really like this one to the downside as well. I do think on the higher time frames, price is likely to reverse. Again, don't get me wrong, it's been a lovely bullish trend. Market's been flying pretty well. Very, very consistent with the higher lows, but I do feel like price is hitting a little bit of a top. And we're likely to see some downside based off that alone. We got some resistance here at 2.27, 2.26. I'm looking for price to have a little bit of a deeper test of that zone before I do start to short it. But the idea is that we form the left shoulder over here. Here's another head and shoulder pattern, left shoulder over there, head, and this would be my right shoulder. And then that's kind of where I'm looking to anticipate some selling ideas from. And if I get that right, hopefully I can swing it right back into support and maybe a lot further than that as well. If I draw in the trend line, this trend line here is still keeping us bullish. I do feel like it's only a matter of time before we actually do see the break of that. And then that's probably what's going to give us a big flush to the downside. But for now anyway, looking to see what we can do in this sort of area. This is basically my area of interest for a short for pound NZD. So I'm going to study price in this level, see how we react. If things look good, I'll hop into a short. If not, I'll back away if we continue to rally, because the trend is still to the upside at the end of the day, and perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe we do see another swing to the upside before we do reverse. Well, if that's the case, I don't want to get in the way of that. So if things don't look good, I'm not going to jump into anything. But if I see healthy rejection, things generally look like we're about to turn, well, yeah, I better make sure I take a position and get involved, because I do think we can really fall. So pound NZD shorts, I'm definitely very interested in as well. I'm also interested in Euro NZD as well. I do think this one has a lot of room to the downside as well. Sorry, not Euro NZD, Euro Aussie. I do think this one has a lot of downside as well. So far, it's kind of testing support, which is failing to break through. But as I expand to the higher time frames, I am expecting us to push back into this resistance level here, which is 1.7. This is what held this massive range before we got the big breakout. I'm looking for price to get back down there, at least back to this area here. At least, at the very least. I'm expecting 1.7, but at the very least, I'm looking for 1.74. So the way I'm looking to trade that is either we push back into resistance again, something like this, where I can put a nice stop loss above, like this, and then I can trade it, or break me test of that support level and I can trade it like that. But then hopefully I can hold on to 1.7 down there. But I will be prepared to potentially close the trade early if things are not looking good at this zone right here. But yeah, Euro Aussie, similar reasons to pound NZD, as in why I want to sell it. Market's very stretched. We've gone a long way away from home here. Previously, the last time we had a massive move like this, massive rally, when things got pretty stretched, was back in COVID. And you can see exactly what happened there. We came straight back down again. I do feel like something similar could happen. Perhaps this is an uptrend that does continue a lot further, but with an up move like that, we're likely to retrace anyway. And if I can take advantage of that retracement back into these areas, great. Perhaps there could be some nice buys that follow afterwards, which we can look at. But for now, that's really what I'm interested with the shorts. And then I'm also looking at New Zealand CHF longs and Aussie CHF longs. So this is New Zealand CHF. We've got a lovely level of resistance. I've taken that across. I'm looking to see if we can hold this level as support. We've been pretty consistent with the higher lows. Again, I feel like Aussie CHF is a little bit cleaner, so I think I'll focus more so on that one. But I'm going to keep an eye on New Zealand CHF because they both come hand in hand. And sometimes New Zealand will give you a better trade, or Aussie will give you a better trade in terms of the entry. So I'll keep an eye on both. But it's the same idea. Nice push up. We've just come back from all-time lows. I do feel like there's more upside in the tank, at least for a push back into the low here. But I do kind of expect us to at least make resistance up there for New Zealand CHF. And then Aussie CHF likewise as well. This one, again, coming from all-time lows. Previous all-time low is back over here. We swept that a long time ago. I do expect us to keep pushing back up. And we've got this lovely range here, which we consolidated for, dropped to the downside very hard. That's where all the bearish momentum came from. And now I'm looking for us to pull back there and push back into that zone there as well. So in terms of entries, basically just looking to see how we respect the high here. I mean, it was a nice initial bounce there, but I need a little bit more than that before I can find some entries. But we are putting in higher lows, which is a good sign. So as long as we can keep that up, and then, yeah, looking for a push back into 0.55200. And pretty much that does sum up my watch list. Yeah, I mean, I'm also looking at dollar CAD sales, but that's still quite a way away. That might take a few days for us to actually form. What's up, Uptown? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Does really help out. I do really appreciate it if you find it useful, entertaining, informative, anything positive, I guess. Please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It does help out, helps get the content out there. So I do really appreciate that, guys. And of course, hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And also, quick heads up, I won't be live tomorrow. I am away in the morning. I might still be able to catch Nick's stream later in the afternoon, which is at 1:45 UK time. So I might be able to catch that stream, which will be later in the afternoon on his channel. But on my channel, I won't be live tomorrow. I am away, but Friday I'll be back. So don't panic. DJ, your charting is fine, my guy. I appreciate it. So why Forex and not indices? Because I'm still new to this, but indices seem to interest me. So if you can give me like advice, I mean, to be honest, the reason why I trade Forex so often is because that's why I started learning, and that's why I spent most of my time in the beginning. I only really paid interest to indices probably about 3 years into my trading journey, to be honest. So it was only FX markets, which is the only thing I was interested in, only thing I was trading. So because I've already spent so long focusing on Forex, that's kind of my bread and butter. I have since kind of looked at commodities, metals. I've started trading US 30 as well, but that's just as I've kind of gained more experience. But I think there is no kind of you should do Forex, you should do indices. There is no kind of must. You should you pick which either or both even. The more important thing is just finding consistency in the beginning and a approach to the market which you can find rhythm with. I think I would probably advise to pick a set of markets to focus on, and get comfortable with them, and then you can expand the markets you look at. Because in the beginning, especially as a new trader, you might kind of have the shiny object syndrome, where you look at a market, you trade that market, you look at this market, you trade that market, look at another market, trade that market, and then you're all over the shop, not really learning, just taking trades because you can really. So I would suggest pick a few markets, stick with that. There will be other people trading other markets. Don't get distracted. Just focus on the markets you're trading, and then you can always increase your watch list and then the markets you look at. But yeah, if you want to learn with indices, learn with indices. Nothing wrong there. If you want to learn with Forex, learn with Forex. Nothing wrong there either. Yeah, I just learn with Forex because that's where I started. Uptown, what do you think of the US 10-year yield? Big picture wise, it may help. I don't really look at that, to be honest. Personally, and the only thing I will look at is the, in reference to the dollar, is just the DXY really, in terms of what the US D could do in terms of other currency pairs. I know some people will look at it. I know Nick looks at it, but yeah, I don't really look at it, to be honest. CS Integrated, hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Good morning or good afternoon, or I think good evening for you. John, good morning. Hope you're well. Coming from Dubai, nice. Forex Summit this way. No, I'm not. I didn't know that existed, to be fair. Actually, no, I did know it existed, but I just didn't know it was happening this May. It'll be May 14th, 15th. I'll be going with my son. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I wasn't aware, to be honest. I remember last year's one, but yeah, I just completely forgot about it, to be honest. Yeah, completely forgot about it. But no, I'm not coming to the Dubai Forex Summit. Maybe next year's one. Or do they do two? Do they do one in the late in the year? But yeah, I had no idea it was coming this May, to be honest. No idea. So in terms of the indices, I haven't actually spoken about the indices yet today. I still like the indices to the downside. They still look pretty bearish to me. I still feel like we could see a push down, but I don't like the fact that they've broken through the daily level. I think both NAS and S&P have done that now. Yeah. US 30 don't think it's quite there yet, or is it just getting there? Yeah, just about getting there. So in terms of NAS 100, I am still pretty bearish with this pair. I still like the opportunity for a sell back into lows. The main thing is that we are very corrective here. Yes, we've broken through a pretty big level here, but we are still very corrective on the way up. So that doesn't really give me much confidence that, okay, price is going to rally here. It could do. It could do. But the way I'm looking at price right now is that we look very, very corrective, and I would expect us to sooner or later have a pretty big drop to the downside here. And I'm looking for another lower high to form. So unless we have a big surge to the upside, market rallies, breaks through some structure on the left, then I'll stand corrected. And okay, at that point, maybe we are going to roll over. But to me, this looks very, very corrective. And I do think we can have a pretty big drop to the downside. And of course, continue back to lows. I'm still looking at this as a bearish market and a bearish cycle. You know, we did previously put a lower high in over here, and then we had the drop to the low. I'm still looking for that pattern to continue another lower high to form. But of course, if we were to break the highs here, then I'll stand corrected and I'll be bullish on NAS at that point, and then just expecting price to push back to the all-time highs at that point, really. Likewise with S&P 500 as well. Very, very corrective on the way up. Yes, we're poking our heads above that level, but overall you can see how corrective we are, how price is moving. I do expect us to eventually hit a brick wall and see a move to the downside there as well. I do think we've got a greater chance still of price pushing back into these lows rather than suddenly flying to the upside. And if we do take out some highs here, then I'll be a lot more confident in terms of the buys, because at that point we've broken structure. Then at that point I'll be looking for price to swing back into highs there at 61.45. So that would make me bullish there on the S&P. But yeah, I'm still pretty much bearish. How's the 200 doing? Still below price. I think as long as we stay nice and corrected below that 200, we're likely to drop. Likewise with NAS as well. Still very corrective below the 200. I do feel like price can keep falling, but if we do take out the structure there, we're above the 200 as well. At that point, I would expect us to rally. Dow Jones as well, likewise, same thing. Still pretty corrective. We might push past the high here, but I do still see us falling. And that will take us back into these lows. Okay, there's one in September, but the May one is huge. Oh, okay. I had no idea. It's an experience. Yeah, of course, 100% experience. If you could go, definitely go for it. Definitely meet other traders. I think there's other businesses there as well. It's a good idea to kind of connect with other people, because again, trading is a very one-to-one, kind of lonely-ish experience, because it's just you in the market taking positions. There isn't anything outside of that. So connecting with other traders, chatting with other traders, just sharing your own kind of experiences is a pretty big thing as well, because pretty much every other industry, there's always something, there's always someone to talk to about something. Whereas this, you don't really need anyone else for trading. You don't need to hire any staff at all. So it's important to connect and chat with other traders. And going to events like that is pretty good. I've been to a few in London. They've been good fun to go to, meet other people, meet other traders as well, connect with other people. But yeah, I had no idea about Dubai event. I completely forgot about it, to be honest, because I saw it last year. And I was like, okay, that could be interesting. And then I just didn't think about it again, so completely forgot. Mo, at to buy S&P, should I still hold that? Where's your entry, Mo? And what time frame are you trading? The patience I've learned from you and Nick is life-changing to me. That's beautiful. Great to hear, FTJ. Yeah, I think patience in trading is almost as important as your strategy, to be honest. I think patience is huge, because strategy isn't necessarily that important in terms of the reasoning of why you took a trade. You could have the most simplest reason of why you took a position, just because price was at support and you saw a wick, so you bought it. Very, very elementary stuff there. But the patience and the timing of when you buy that is very, very important, and that could be the difference between trading that idea alone, which I just said, profitably, and not profitably. And of course, your trade management as well is very important too. But patience and timing is huge in trading, and it's difficult to teach that as well. It's difficult to teach that because I think that the best way to learn it is looking over your previous trades. That's the best way to kind of learn patience and learn timing, because if you can look back and map out all of your trades previously, and you can see what happens, does price potentially stop you out, come down a little bit, then you see the move. Well, if you're a little bit more patient, potentially you could have timed that a little bit better and got into the trade and caught the winner. And that, just looking over your journal, looking over your previous trades, that will teach you a bit about patience and a bit about timing as well. Because in the moment when you're trading, you want to make some money, the markets are moving, you don't want to miss out on the move potentially. You jump into the trade without thinking too much, because hey, if you're sitting cash, you can't make any money. But if you're in the market, there's always that potential to make money. But of course, there's always that potential to lose money too. So yeah, patience, timing, huge parts of trading. So I'm glad to see that you're improving on that part, LFTJ. Good to hear. Use your impatient impulses on your demo account and not your live. That's actually a good thing. I've heard people talk about that as well. Having two accounts. So you got your live account, which you're trading in, whether prop firm account or your personal account. And then you've got a demo account, which is kind of like your burner account, the account that doesn't mean anything. Like you see a setup, you feel like, oh, that might work. Doesn't really fit my plan or fit my strategy or fit anything really. But I feel like price might push up from here. Just stick it on your demo. You don't need to put that on your live. Every trade you put that on your live account, you want it to be up to standard. If some person was going to have a look at your account history, you can knowingly back up every decision you made in terms of entering a trade and exiting a trade. You know, there is no kind of, yeah, I did this just because I felt it might push up at the time. You have a good kind of valid reasoning of why you exited the position and why you entered the position, and you can explain that confidently to another person. So any trades outside of that, stick it on a demo. That's a good way to kind of scratch the itch, because you might kind of have the want to put on a weird trade, which you feel like it might work out. You know, any trade you take, you have the expectation that it's going to play out. You're not taking a trade just for fun, but it might not be in line with your plan. So you stick on another account, and also that way you can track it as well. Because let's say you take that trade a few times, you can actually see its performance. Is it something to potentially incorporate into your trading plan later? Or is it something where it's best just to keep well away from your trading account? You know, you can track that performance as well too. But that's a very good point, Cease Integrated. Do you have a WhatsApp channel or a Telegram channel? Because that's what is mostly used this side. Yeah, I do have a Telegram channel. I've also got a Discord channel as well. We can join both. Both linked in the description below. I learned the hard way about patience. Doesn't everyone Cease Integrated? I think everyone learns the hard way about patience. I feel like trading is one of those things where you have to try and you actually get burnt before you learn the lesson. You know, because you could have no experience of fire, and I could tell you don't put your hand in fire, and you probably look at it a little bit, maybe you get a little bit close, feel the heat of it. But you don't actually have to put your hand in fire to realize not to put your hand in fire. But in trading, I feel like you actually have to put your hand into fire a little bit. You have to chase a trade. You have to over risk, over leverage. You have to take trades outside your plan. You have to be impatient. You have to over trade. I feel like you have to do all those things to actually realize it's not the way forward. Because I can tell you not to over risk. I tell you not to over trade. And you probably won't do that for a while, but eventually you might get overconfident and you do those things, and then you realize, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I feel like trading is one of those things where you just have to learn the hard way, unfortunately. Okay, place the buy stop 55.60. So it tapped. I'm currently not on profit. Okay, let's see. US 500. Let me just get rid of my drawings. Okay, so you said you're in a buy from 55.60. Okay, so you had a buy stop there, so your expectation was a continued rally in your favor. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan just because of how price is moving. I like the idea of, okay, there's a lot of momentum in the market. If we break the high, we'll likely continue. I like the idea because it's the idea that there's a lot of momentum and you're expecting continuation of that momentum. But in this case, when we're moving in an ascending channel, this is never a pattern that represents momentum. Sometimes we do break to the upside and we continue pushing, but most of the time, 60, 70% of the time, is the indication that the market is soon enough going to break to the downside. It might continue chugging to the upside for a little while as well, but most of the time it does break lower. So I wouldn't really be looking to use buy stops when price action looks like this. When we're seeing more momentum, like, let me find a good example. Like here, for example, where price kind of picked up pace there again, having like a sell stop below a low here, or even like below a low here. Of course, maybe hindsight bias playing into it a little bit, but at least having more momentum makes a bit more sense. When price is really corrective like this, you don't want to be looking to sell at these lows, because typically price does correct back up against you, and that's the situation we have here as well. So yeah, I would avoid trying to buy into that. I know it was a big candle, nice momentum there, but we are kind of moving this channel, and it's also different when price is consolidating and it's flat as well. For example, if we're doing this and then you see a big candle breaking out, that's a different situation as well. But if we're doing this on the way up, normally that means we're about to break down, and likewise to the downside as well. This means we're normally going to break up. So I would avoid using buy stops and sell stops in this way because there's not momentum. The idea for buy stop is that momentum's come in, expecting to continue. I know momentum did technically come in here, but we're still operating with the channel. The context of the market's still very fatigued, very, very tiring. So I would avoid that. So personally, I would just see out the trades however you managed it. So wherever your stop loss is, I would respect that because I'm sure there's a reason, a valid reason for you entering the trade. If you kind of just took the trades without much thought, then maybe close the position because you don't want to hold a trade if you didn't have much thought in the first place. Anyway, even if you are in profit too. But yeah, for that reason, I wouldn't take the trade personally. But again, I'm not going to tell you to close the trade because I could do that and then potentially it rallies into profit and then you kick yourself a little bit. So, you know, no one knows exactly what the market's going to do next. All I can look at is what price is doing and make an educated guess based on that. And because of how corrected we are, I do think price is going to have a bit of a drop at some point. It may be today, it might be tomorrow, might be right at the end of the week with NFP. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. But for that reason, I wouldn't be so optimistic about the buys. And also approaching areas of supply on our left here too, which are, again, not the best place to be trying to catch breakouts into. If we're above it, that's a bit better, but not directly into it. So yeah, that's my take there on the S&P. Thembecker, hope I'm saying that correctly. What's your take on pound USD daily chart? Okay, we'll have a look. No problem, Mo. Happy to help. So pound USD daily time frame. So yeah, I'm expecting a bit of retracement. I'm still very bullish on pound long term. I still think we can see a lot more upside. We've got a major high over here, which I'm looking to see if we can potentially retest as well. But the idea for pound USD on the daily chart is I'm looking for a pullback for us to continue higher. We've come back to major resistance, so I do think we're going to see some downside, and there might be some nice sells based on that. But I'm not really so interested with the sells because my thinking is that we're selling off just to retrace so we can go higher. So I'd rather just focus on the buys anyway. If that's what my thinking is, that price is likely to go higher, I'd rather just focus on the buys because that's where I think there'll be more juice to squeeze, and I can hang on to the trade longer. But for now, there could be some shorts there. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the price action. It's very, very corrective on the way down. I mean, it doesn't mean price won't sell off, but it's not looking like a great sell or a great opportunity to find an entry. So yeah, personally, I'm just waiting for price to come down. If we can get into 1.3, that would be great. Lines up really well with the high over here. If not, I like the zone just underneath us at 1.3. It looks really good as well. Then yeah, looking to take pound USD back to highs and hopefully further as well. But that is my take on pound USD daily chart. Expecting some shorts, but I think the buyers are still in control of the market. Samuel, pound Aussie. Okay, we'll have a look. See. So pound Aussie, I do think with this one again, there is room to the downside. We've had a lovely, lovely rally. But I do think price, ooh, that'll be an interesting monthly candle close. Do we close below this wick or above it? That'll be pretty pivotal. Because if we do pull back and close below the wick, I do think for the month of May, we can see a bit of a drop there. To be honest, even if we close slightly above it as well, I would still probably expect us to push down, but more so if we close below it. So that would be an interesting close. But the key thing, the key reason why I came to the high time frame was to show that we've taken out major highs to the left here. This was the COVID high from 2020. And we've just about spiked through that. So I do expect to see a bit of a retracement for pound Aussie. Don't get me wrong, the bigger move might still be to the upside. This trend might still continue, but I do feel like we've hit a bit of a temporary top here, and the market is due a bit of a correction. If we are going to continue flying, of course, we could reverse completely as well. But looking at the higher time frames, I do feel like price is hitting a bit of a top, and I do think we will likely drop here. I'm looking at areas like such as an area we could potentially retrace into. Looking at the daily chart, we're pretty flat here, so I'm looking to see if potentially price might push back into resistance. Looking to the left here, that looks like a nice place for a short to me. Nice place for a stop loss as well, and then perhaps catch some shorts back into support here, then maybe back into the daily level below us. So yeah, personally pretty bearish for pound Aussie. To be honest, this looks like a big range here. So you got your resistance up top, support there, which has held numerous occasions. So basically we're just looking for price to come back into resistance to find a healthy place for a short, put a stop loss in, and even just the target back to support makes a load of sense to me, because that way you're not trying to overstay your welcome. That's definitely a key support level which we could turn back again from. So banking some profits there makes a load of sense. If we can catch a breakout, great. Possibly might see a bigger correction there. But in terms of a nice place for a short, I would wait for us to approach resistance up there at 2.108, and then there's a bit of room for us to target back into support there. But yeah, pound Aussie, pretty bearish on this one. The trend is up, but I'm not interested in still buying this. Again, particularly in FX, trend is your friend. I'm a big advocate of that, but you have to be very careful about whereabouts you are in the trend. Because if the trend has, no problem Samuel, happy to help. If the trend's been going on for a while, especially in FX, well, if it's been going on for a while, we're very much closer to the end of it than the start of it. Sooner or later, the market's going to reverse. Of course, there are times where the trend's gone on for a while and it goes on for another while as well, like the yen pairs. Since 2021 pretty much to 2024, they've been trending very, very well. There's been some brief moments of counter trend plays and counter trend moves, but for the most part, they've just been flying. So there are times where that rule doesn't work, but most of the time, especially like a pound Aussie as well, we do trend, but sooner or later we will hit a wall where even if the trend is still going to continue, which again that perfectly can still happen, but we will go through some type of counter trend move, which probably lasts for quite a while before we do continue. For example, if you look at this kind of trend here, which kind of topped from there and it bottomed all the way here, so that continued for a very long time. But even within that, we've had some really big moves to the upside, and every time the market got stretched, we did see reliefs to the moves as well. So that's exactly what I'm looking for pound Aussie as well. This might still fly for a very long time, for a while, but every so often we will go through those moves when the market's pretty stretched before we do continue, and this will be a nice short, and then perhaps we can start talking about some longs again and take it back up again. So the trend is your friend, but know where you are within the trend. If it's closer to the end, be careful if you're still looking to follow the trend. I'm not saying that you have to look to sell it either and go against the trend, but at least wait for the market to pull back a little bit deeper first before getting involved. And that will allow you to not get stopped out early and still capitalize on momentum as well. But pound NZD is a very similar pair, and I'm looking to short this one as well. So pound NZD, pound Aussie, similar pairs. Same idea pretty much, but pound NZD looks a little bit cleaner, so I think I'll just focus on this one. But yeah, still not quite ready yet. But yeah, for myself, the only trade I'm in is Euro Yen, so I'm just going to manage that one, but there's not really much for me to do at the moment. Again, I'm taking this on the daily chart, so I'm just going to keep an eye on how the daily candles close, and that's going to take some time. So no need to try and rush anything here. The next trade I'll probably see myself taking is either pound yen shorts, if that can kind of set up well. So pound yen shorts at 192, or pound CAD shorts in a similar area, 1.857, or pound NZD shorts in this area, 2.27. Actually, probably New Zealand CAD as well. It's not too far away from the zone. That could all kind of set up this week too, 0.815 as well. So keep a close eye on that too. But yeah, with those setups, I'm looking for NZD to gain some strength again. Looks like it's becoming a little bit weak, but I do think NZD and Aussie can still see a lot of strength in the near future. They've been selling off for quite a while, and I do think it's time for them to have a bit of a rally. So still pretty bullish on both of them, but not quite at those levels yet. I mean, I like how this daily candle did close yesterday for New Zealand CAD. We were kind of tightly knit in this channel. The day before had a nice wick piercing through the low end of the channel, but price pulled back up. Now it looks like we're about to get a strong close, and that probably will take us back into support there. So hopefully in the next 2, 3, maybe 4 days, maybe start of next week, maybe this buy setup will set up, and then we can speak about some longs there back into resistance again. So yeah, those are the pairs that I'll be looking at. In terms of BTC, okay, this hasn't done anything since we last spoke. We are incredibly flat though, so that is something to note. But yeah, Bitcoin for me still looks really bullish, despite us moving sideways here. We've broken out of that channel. That's the main thing. This is kind of like the descending channel we had previously. We've broken out of that. Momentum looks pretty bullish. I do think there's a good chance we can still push back to the highs there. So going forward with Bitcoin, I'll keep an eye on 84K, also 88K as opportunities to long this one. And if things look good, I'll then take it back to 107,400 up there. I think with Bitcoin, if you do get a trade with it, the best thing to do is just trail stops and just see what price does, not necessarily having targets. I don't think, yeah, I wouldn't try and have targets for this one because you just don't know how big of the move it will be. It might just be another push back to highs, then we roll over. It might be a push where we go create new all-time highs and push to 120 or 130K, and that could turn into a massive winner. So similar to gold, leaving that top side open for the trade, leaving the take profit open makes sense. You know, not every situation, every setup should be treated the same way. I feel like once you kind of look back at your trades, you can kind of see that, you know, some trades are set up well to run, some not so much. And in a situation like Bitcoin, where we can absolutely fly and be very exponential, if you do get into a trade for Bitcoin, I feel like not putting a target on the trade and trading stops is definitely a smart way to go. Gold likewise as well. If I do get into a long for gold, I probably will not set a target for this one. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of gold. I mean, I do like those areas 32.20 and 31.50, but the other opportunities which I just mentioned look better to me than gold right now. So I'll just rather focus on those than, you know, also trying to trade gold too. I'll keep an eye on it. Potentially it might interest me depending how we get there and how we react. Maybe it does look good. Maybe it does look even better when that does happen. But for now, I'll probably just focus on the pairs I'm looking at. I think the key thing with gold is that we're still forming these lower highs. This head and shoulder pattern seems to be respecting, seems to be holding structure pretty well. So I do think we will have a bit of a drop here. But we'll see what we do at these areas, whether we find support and turn around or we keep falling. Because we've all been speaking about well, not just Bitcoin, but how gold does need that bigger retracement. Because we've been so bullish. So gold does, we do expect gold to see lower prices, but at the same time, we're still in a bullish trend. We haven't taken out any major structure yet, so I'll still be bullish on gold until we start taking out some major lows, or I see prolonged weakness then I would look to change that bias, but don't really have that just yet. So still mainly focused on the longs here for gold. Silver, I like the longs as well, but I want price to fall a little bit further first. So again, for silver, I'm looking at 31 as a nice place for a buy. As you can see, massive rally there. Price is failing at the supply area. We've broken out the channel. 31 looks pretty good. So this one I might look to add to my watch list maybe late in the week or probably next week, to be honest. Yeah, probably next week, to be honest. But again, I like this low here. Really solid support. Broke below, broke back above. Perhaps now we can use it as support to potentially rally from. I was never really interested about buying silver up there because number one, market's extremely corrective. Number two, we're coming to a huge area of supply, and also number three as well, we've already had a decent rally to the upside. The market's already had a decent move, so I don't want to buy right at the top of that. I want price to now relieve itself, come against me, and then potentially I can be buying at the low of the next rally, and that will allow me to have, maximize my reward and position myself well where I can potentially hang on to that trade for a while if things are looking good in my favor. But for now, yeah, looking at more downside. I still like the idea of some shorts on an intraday time frame, perhaps like an hour or 30-minute charts, probably even 15 as well. A retest of this zone here. Again, really strong breakout of the channel. I think a retest of that zone does look pretty good. Nice double top up there. Lower high, lower low. Looking for the next lower high, then some shorts back into support. Make the most sense to me there. So even though for silver I still do think highs past 35 are still on the cards, I do feel like we'll probably continue to sell off a little bit here, and then we can speak about some buys later on. I'm also going to keep a close eye on how the monthly candle closes. I mean, it's going to leave a big wick. It's not going to fill the wick, of course not. It's got 10 hours left. I mean, I think the key thing from silver is that this price action is just very messy, to be honest. I don't want to read too much into candlesticks because sometimes you can kind of over-analyze and do too much where it's not necessary. I think the key thing here is that the market is just very, very choppy. So being very careful of that. I mean, it's a big wick to the downside. Support is holding. That's the best thing I can take away. Resistance is holding just as well, to be honest, too. So not much to take away from silver there. Gold probably leaving a big wick to the upside. Yeah, I mean, still going to be a strong month close. No, not really strong month close. It's going to be a bullish close. Big wick to the upside. Momentum still with the buyers. Perhaps we do sell off a little bit, but no real big indication of reversal just yet. So I would be quite cautious of that. How is the other yen pairs doing? CAD JPY pushing to the upside. I think CAD's a bit bullish today. Yeah, CAD CHF looking a bit bullish as well. So I think CAD is a bit bullish today. Pound CAD pushing down. I do think CAD yen sooner or later is going to have a move to the upside. This is a very corrective move on the way down. Like I said, these corrective moves normally mean upside. So I do think this will eventually push higher. We could still see another drop first before that happens. So it's not a situation where I'm just going to look to buy it, but I'm not interested in selling it anymore. Aussie yen. This one as well has had a pretty meaningful down move. There might still be some upside left on the table here with Aussie yen. Possibly a push back into that supply level there. I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. It is moving pretty correctively, so it might push up a little bit more, then sell. Something like this. And almost likewise for New Zealand yen as well. This looks pretty corrective to me. So I do feel like price can push down. But again, this has sold off already for a pretty meaningful move. So I'm not really interested on continuing to sell New Zealand yen. for me, it's time to back away a little bit now. I mean, there's still a very strong trend line keeping us bearish. I think as long as we keep that intact, we could still see another drop to the downside, but still, I rather get into markets which are closer to the top of the trend or the bottom of the trend for counter trend plays. Because I know if I do get the trade right, I can sit in it much longer. And from my experience, those trades are a little bit more easier to catch and they play out a bit more often. When the market's already had a drop and you still kind of keep trying to short it, from my experience, not the best positions to take. In terms of CHF JPY, like I said for this one, I actually still do think there's upside in on the cards for Swiss yen. The way we're still respecting this zone here, I think a key element is to see what we do with this channel, whether we have a strong break or not. But if it does break strongly, that probably will take us to the upside here. Long term, I'm still pretty bearish on it, but I don't really see a good short just yet. So staying patient. I mean, overall, I'll probably just consider this to be consolidation, to be honest. Of course, as for Euro Yen, just going to sit on that position, monitor that on the daily chart. That's why I entered on looking for the bigger swing. So I'm just going to see how that one goes. Stops above the high, and I'll see what we can do with pound yen as well. I'm looking at 192, and hopefully I can find some shorts from there to take this back down again. But again, being patient, not trying to rush anything. If this does play out, there's a big swing to be had, so there's no need to try and force anything in the meantime. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into another stream and chatting with myself. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Like I said, drop a like before you do exit. It does really help out. Check out the Discord channel, links in the description to that. Shout out for other traders, join the community. I'm there as well, so if you are interested, check it out. It is free to join. As I said, I won't be live tomorrow. I am away in the morning. I perhaps might be able to catch Nick's stream in the afternoon, so look out for that. That'll be on his channel. But I will be next live on this channel on Friday, so hope to see everyone there. Same time as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So make sure you do tune in for that one. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in for today's stream. Really do appreciate it. Drop a like before you do exit. That does really help out. But till the next one, take care, guys. Have a good one.